Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today we're going to be focusing on women. Oh, we love doing that, right? But everything we're talking about is also good for the gentlemen in our world. And for you gentlemen, y'all have important women in your lives that you need to be passing this information on to also. So please join me in welcoming Catarina Rando to our program today. Catarina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Deb. You know, I'm blissing to be with you.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will dive into this because we're going to have so much fun. So Catarina Rando is a woman on a mission. She shows women entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and speakers how to build influence and gain insta-clients with speaking and authentic selling. She is a women's business mentor extraordinaire, podcaster, and author of the national bestseller, Learn to Think Differently, now published abroad in 11 languages, including Estonian. Her latest book, The ABCs of Public Speaking, was an instant Kindle bestseller. Catarina hosts live summits and retreats for women in business, including the Expand Your Fempire Summit and the Shero Speaker Summit and Bliss Retreat for women leaders on a mission. Catarina is also the founder of the Thriving Women in Business Center in San Francisco, a place for women to gather and host workshops. She is also the creator of Thriving Women in Business Giving, a project that raises money for women and girls' education and entrepreneurship training. Holy cow, Catarina, this is so much fun. So again, welcome.
To be with you.
Well, one of the things I always like to find out from my guests is how they got to where they are today. So tell us how you discovered that this is your mission in life to really help women entrepreneurs.
Deb, you know, I don't usually share that my birthday is March 8th, which is International Women's Day.
Yes.
Now we celebrate it in the US, but when I was growing up, we didn't really celebrate it much in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a year in Italy, though, living in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very, very big in Europe.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
And since this is my birthday, I felt that I'm a woman's woman.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in high school, I went to parochial school, Catholic school. I worked on the ERA countdown campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to the office, which wasn't too far from my high school, in my plaid skirt from school. And I met amazing women that were different than the women that I met, the nuns and the girls.
I bet.
For sure. And excuse me, it all inspired me. And then I had a cafe. I worked for my sister in her cafe, and then I took the cafe over when she moved to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to figure out what's my thing, because I liked business.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the community that the neighborhood cafe provided. I liked being with people, but I didn't like making sandwiches and wearing, every day wearing tomato sauce. And I thought, this is not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then one day this lady comes in my cafe and she's beaming, and her smile is so big, and she's really lighting the place up. And she says to me, Catarina, thank you so much for the business advice you gave me. The last time I'm here, we're doing much better. And the truth is, Deb, I didn't even remember the conversation.
Okay.
But this conversation I'll never forget, because her gratitude literally touched my heart.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I felt a pang of bliss in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to help women be successful in business. And the thing is that I believe, and the studies show, that when you empower women economically, everything changes.
Right.
And women invest in their families, they invest in their communities. People think, we buy shoes. Well, we might buy a few pairs of fancy shoes, but women invest in, it's shown, their families, their communities, so much in the healthcare of their children. And so the more women that are thriving economically in the world, the better the world's going to be.
Right. Well, one of the things, and this is purely anecdotal, one of the things that I see is women do all of this investing in others, but don't invest in themselves. And I think that's one of the things, whether it's education, training, all of those things. And I think it is because sometimes there's just nothing left. We're so busy doing for others that we don't do for ourselves. And so have you found that too?
Well, it's interesting because it's kind of twofold. On the one hand, women are the ones who spend 70% of the self-help dollars.
Right.
However, on the other side, like you say, we're taking care of our kids, our family, and there often doesn't seem any extra. And I don't necessarily even mean dollars. I mean time. But we're often taught, like Deb, that I teach women how to do retreats, and I love to lead retreats. And sometimes it's seen as frivolous or
Right.
self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have other things I need to be doing.
Right. Rather than self-care and an essential ingredient to continue to thrive. And then there's this other idea that we're supposed to do it by ourselves.
Right.
Which is a ridiculous idea. Why wouldn't it be better to work with someone who's already done what you're trying to do? Why wouldn't it be better to be in a community of like-minded, like-hearted people that are working on the same thing as you? But part of it is our upbringing. And this idea that taking care of ourselves and investing ourselves and, everything from the little things like getting your nails done is frivolous and self-indulgent, to the big things like retreat or as coming through this pandemic, ongoing support and ongoing guidance is so essential to keep us thriving, especially those of us that help other people for a living. We need to make sure our cup is full, because of course you can't serve from an empty cup.
Right. We were talking before about medical care. It's kind of that physician heal thyself type of concept. We can only do so much before, we just have nothing left to give. And unfortunately, what happens is it's usually not something little. It's we get very ill. We quit our, all sorts of major things, as opposed to, I just need a couple hours to go get a pedicure. Really?
Right. And then you feel so much better. But I do encourage women and men too, to have structured getaway time as part of the standard operating procedure for your business.
That means no phone, no computer. The world will go on without you.
Yes. And getting out of your regular environment. This is why I do a lot of retreats on cruise ships, or I live in San Francisco, so I'm not too far from Napa Valley. We do retreats. Even, my house is an hour away from Napa Valley. It's like a whole different world with the vineyards and, and of course there's so many beautiful places to go and be. And so many people don't get out of their regular environment. And when you do that, you get new ideas, you get rejuvenated, you fill your cup. And I encourage everyone to make it standard operating procedure, because also one of the things that I see, especially for women, is that they tend to be go, go, go. We've got so many things to do, blah, 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 get through and we need time for thinking and planning. And any success expert you've ever met or not met, from Napoleon Hill going all the way back, will tell you we need time for thinking and planning. What I'm saying is do that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, but also have a couple times a year where you get away, get out of your regular environment. Ideally, You're with other people that are smarter than you, that are further along than you, and you're having new ideas to support you because if we, Deb, and you may have heard this. I sell sales programs, I sell speaking programs, and of course the retreats. And sometimes a gal will say to me, well, Caterina, I've done this sales class and I've done that speaking class. And, I've done so many. And I say, well,
it doesn't work.
well, sometimes they say that, but my point is good for you, because as long as you're above ground, hopefully you're going to be committed to growth and learning and personal development. I'm taking a branding class right now. I'm taking a negotiating class right now. And guess what? It's not the first time, but you know what? The woman I am today is a different woman than the one who did it before. I teach sales, but I also take sales. And my first sales class, I was 19 years old in fashion school. Hopefully that's not even though I got an A, Deb, hopefully that's not the last sales class I'm ever going to take, because we're different. Our needs are different. So I love that you have a commitment to personal growth and learning. And I hope everyone listening knows that as long as we're alive, that's where we want to be.
Right. And it is one of those things where we have to continually be learning. I sign up for classes all the time. And a lot of times it's things I already know. I mean, I have 2 master's degrees. I've been doing this quite a long time, but there is always something new.
Right.
And, or sometimes it's that they're reiterating that what I'm doing is right. And so it's worth it to do that, to go through those things and go, oh yeah, and maybe it's just something as simple as, hey, you should be posting on Facebook at X time during the day, or something, or something major where you're really learning from it. But you always should be open to those things.
Yes, and let me say this too. People think education is about learning. Well, of course, that's part of it. But what I want to say is there are certain things, especially as a businesswoman, that we want to master. So I told you right now I'm taking this branding class, and part of the branding class is about identifying your own story. And guess what? I teach storytelling in my speaking stuff, okay? But now I get to be on the other side of it. And of course, this teacher teaches different than the way I teach. And I was like, great. And I had all these new story ideas come up because somebody else is holding the space for me. But also the goal is not just to learn. The goal is to master what we learn. Right. And how do we master it? Ongoing support, ongoing guidance, a structure like a class or a program that creates support and focus and momentum. And then we get to, of course, come together with like-minded, like-hearted people, and we get a community. Right. And the other thing, Deb, that we don't talk about enough as adults is encouragement. My goal is every time anybody's in a Zoom room with me, they're going to leave more uplifted than when they showed up. And that's encouragement. Which
sometimes is hard in Zoom, right?
Well, hey, my friend, come hang out with me. I'm pretty good at it. Okay.
We're going to learn more about that.
Okay, good. Because you know why? Because people are not showing up just for the education. They might think they signed up for that class because they want to learn that topic. But what we want to give them is we want them to feel seen and heard and encouraged, know that they matter, remind them they have massive value to bring, and that they can figure out whatever it is.
Right. And I love that you focus on women. And it's so interesting because early on in my career, I did not like business groups that focused on women. And it was one of those things because typically what I would find was the cattiness, all of the negative things that we talk about with women. In fact, one of my places where I worked, we had a box of the cat food Meow Mix. And if you had been particularly catty to someone, and probably 90%, if not more, of the employees were women at this organization, you would get back to your desk and you would find the box of Meow Mix. And and I thought, this is not helpful. I mean, it was funny, right? But it wasn't helpful. And for some people, they actually were very insulted by it. And others thought it was a place of pride. Okay, fine. But I really didn't like, and part of it was, with men, they're pretty straightforward. They like you, they don't like you. A lot of it is the sports analogy. You win, you lose, you go out for beer. With women, they hold on to grudges. They remember things forever. Ask any husband this, right? But as I've gotten older and matured, I have discovered that the support that I get from women is just absolutely incredible. I'm in several groups now that I absolutely am devoted to. And I think part of it is that nurturing, all of that women do that really men don't.
Yeah. And, it was interesting because this morning I was thinking about an association that I used to be a member of. I'm not going to say which one. And there was a lot of, I would call them mean girls. In that
group. I hate the mean girls groups.
Right. And I bet that they were all mean girls in high school.
Yeah, but they were the cheerleaders.
Yeah,
Should we say that? Right.
Well, but today, and I have my own community, Deb, of people, and I really consciously curate who I let in my community, that I'm looking for people with a generous heart, that operate with integrity, that have a desire to be helpful and connect. But I don't see as many of those types of groups that you saw earlier in your career. And I hope, but here's the other thing. There's a difference between when you have a job and you have to work with these people that are in that organization.
Right. And they're going to put the box of Meow Mix on your desk.
Right. But now you have your own business. You get to do it any way you want. You get to hang out with who you want to hang out with. Sometimes I'll go to a group and I feel like, nope, these mamas are not for me, And
it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means it didn't fit.
It doesn't, and I used to teach something else I rarely say in an interview is I used to teach enlightened relationships. I used to teach relationship, like for single people, how to find your partner. And the reason I mention it is because what I learned there, it was really a big breakthrough for me, was that it's not that, so-and-so didn't like me, or, why didn't this work out? It was more realizing that not everybody's a match for everybody.
Right.
And that sometimes, and this was all about like compatibility factors, like I'm a dynamic woman, meaning like, action oriented. And I remember this lovely gentleman, and he was like, oh, we should go to the park and we should do this and we should do that. But he never would make a date. Right. And so it's like, okay, well, he's a good guy, but you know what? If he can't make a decision, he's not the right guy for me. And recognizing that there's different compatibility factors. And it's the same thing in business. We get to pick who we want to hang out with, who we want to serve, who we want to spend time with. And the more we can get clear about all that sooner, and of course it continues to evolve, but to recognize that we get to be ourselves.
Right.
And we don't have to hang out with anybody that we don't want to hang out with. And we don't have to pick any clients or take any business that is not the right match for us.
Right.
And the sooner we learn that, the better, because when you take a client just for the money, you find that you have to earn that money 10 times over.
Right. Yeah. Because there's something in there that's just not quite right.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, there's so much here, but I do want everybody to bliss in their business. And part of that is realizing you get to do it any way you want. And if it's not working for you, change it. You can do that. Unlike when you have a job.
Right. And it is so important to work with who fulfills you, and and isn't the time suck. And there's going to be times where that happens, even with the best. But And it is hard, obviously, when you're starting out. And it's like, but I got to pay the bills. Okay, pay the bills. But as soon as you can, get rid of those folks, refer them to somebody else. Because if you're not happy, I can guarantee you they're not happy either. And so it is definitely a win-win to say, this has been fabulous, but I'm wishing you well.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Deb. Some people, they're just not going to be happy.
Right.
And that one of my client criteria, and I do encourage everyone to create their own client criteria, is that they're positive, that they tend to have a positive disposition. Because I know from when I had my cafe web way back when, you can teach a lot of things. You can teach how to use the slicer. You can teach how to make a cappuccino, but you certainly cannot teach attitude. You can try, but it's not going to last very long. Right. And so I only want clients that have a positive disposition. Of course, we all have a bad day and we all have challenges, etc. That's one of my client criteria. Of course, I'm only wanting to work with people that are operating with integrity. And you can't always tell that, but after a while, you seem to get pretty good at finding who's that way and who's not. And then the other thing is that if they tend to be chaotic, like they miss the call, they can't find the link, they have to reschedule 5 times. If that's how they are before they're your client, they're probably going to be that way after your client. So we also don't want those clients that we would call high maintenance. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't provide outstanding client care. Of course we do. But that if we can begin to sniff out or see the people that are going to be that way, the better if we don't bring them on as a client. Because we want clients that want to partner with us, that want to engage with us to create what we want. And of course, again, I want you to bliss in your business. So work with the kind of people that you want to work with.
Right. And some of that is in how you communicate with them. I have one client who absolutely will only communicate with me via text. Okay, that's great. Been working with them for quite a while. And I finally went back to them a month or so ago and I said, this is what works for you. That is fine. However, you will not text me after 11 p.m. or before 8 a.m. because I have an elderly parent. My phone is always on and my phone is always near me. And when you text me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I am not a happy camper. And they, and I didn't say that last part, but I did. I said, here's the boundaries. They have never stepped out of that boundary. They, that was like, oh, okay, great. In fact, they said, oh gosh, we're sorry. And I said, no, I hadn't said anything.
Right.
And so, they couldn't be expected to know the rules if I hadn't told them what the rules were.
Exactly. And that's the thing, I just want to pause there, Deb, for a second and say, a complaint is an unstated request.
Right.
And we want to pay attention to what we complain about. If somebody's complaining, oh my gosh, she texts me all times, day of the evening. Well, guess what? That's an opportunity to make a request, as you just demonstrated. But we can't be upset at someone for not knowing,
reading our mind.
Right, exactly. Like, I have 2 elderly parents, but guess what? I turn my phone off at night. So, because I have a sister also, and they have each other, and I'm sure there will be a time like you, Deb, that the phone will be on all night. But people can message me anytime. It's not a problem for me. So,
and we still have a landline.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got rid of that also recently too. So anyway, the point is that nobody. And by the way, I'm a Facebook Messenger. You can message, and I talk to my clients on the weekends. Right. I do calls with my clients on the weekends. I got no husband. I got no dogs. I got no kids. So I don't even think I have any plants. So I'm happy to do that. But everybody's different, right? And of course, I don't want people to do that all the time. But my point is that everybody is different, and some people complain to other people rather than make requests. And it's really important to look at, what are you complaining about? And is there a request that you're not making?
Yeah. Because I could have just as easily been telling my friends, oh my gosh, they text me at 2 o'clock in the morning and me.
Right.
All that was going to do was just make it, ick with me.
Yes.
And like I said, the second I said, here's what I would prefer.
Right.
And, okay, fine.
Right. Well, people can only give us what we want when we ask them for it. Right.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately, that's why I do contracts with people. I've learned, I loved handshake
Oh yeah.
contracts,
Yeah.
but those didn't always work. And
Mhm.
it's so yeah, you have it written down.
Right.
For $2,000, I do ABC.
Right.
You want DEF, it's this much more.
Additional charge.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's not saying you don't trust them. It's not saying, any of those things. It is saying here's the ground
Right.
rules that will help us work better together.
Yes. Well, Deb, I have clients that have been with me for years.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that part of the value of the contract is sometimes I have to look at the contract to see, well, let me make sure that I'm
Right.
delivering everything I
Mhm.
promised,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Am I doing what I said?
Right.
Mhm.
And how long did I say that? How many sessions did I say that we're going to get? So
Mhm.
part of it is for clear communication, but part of it is to make sure that you fulfill the terms
Yes.
of your contract and that there are nobody saying, well, you said this, and then you say, no, I didn't say that. And then look at the contract. Oh, okay, there it is in the contract.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let me make sure we do this.
Well, and a lot of times, especially if we're working with a business, people there change. And so, if you've got it in writing, even if it's just an email, or something, as long as you've, the verbal things really are pretty hard for somebody to pass along to somebody else. And so again, you just get it in writing, then it's perfectly fine. Oh,
Is
you
that
muted. There we are. Mhm.
Deb, what you're making me think of here too is that, I do a lot of speaking and
Mhm.
speaking to companies and
Mhm.
associations and conferences and all that. And they're not usually booking for next week,
Right.
they're booking for 6 months out.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're booking for 18 months out.
Right. Because they've got a conference that they know they've
Right.
got. Mhm.
Right. And so inevitably, what's going to happen is I am going to forget because it was 18 months ago. But also, as you say, the staff usually changes, or the point of contact changes, or you're booking with one person, the event planner, but she's not the person on the ground
Right.
who's going to be there. So
Mhm.
it's very important that you get everything in writing, especially, of course, for your business, but also around speaking. How
Mhm.
much time do you have?
Mhm.
Can you make an offer? If it's not in the contract, you don't get to. Sometimes I'll say to them, can we make an offer? But we got to make sure we put it in the contract.
Right. Mhm.
Otherwise, and I've loved it in the past too, Deb, when somebody said, oh no, you can't do that. And I say, oh, well, pull out my agreement. Here it is. It says I can, da, da, da.
Mhm.
So it's very important to cover our fannies
Mhm.
that we do have everything
Right.
written down.
Mhm.
And especially I'll speak for myself, as the years go by,
Yeah. Well, we do get a little forgetful on occasion.
that
Mhm.
and also because we're talking to so many people.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, I had a contract. We were doing a big event with a hotel, and we had a provision in the contract for something. Changed people there because hotel staff changes fairly frequently, right? And we went to do whatever that was, and she informed us, I don't do that. And I very politely said, well, it's what's in the contract. And bless her heart, she informs me, I don't care what the contract says. Now she made the mistake of doing that in writing. And which I then just forwarded to her boss. But I had tried to work with her before then. I mean, it wasn't,
Right.
Tattle, tattle, tattle. It was because I
Right.
said, this is what we worked out, this is what's in the contract.
Right.
What can we do to make it work? All of those various things. And she came back with, I don't care what the contract says. And then what unfortunately turned out was, when we pointed it out, they discovered she'd been treating other people badly too. And they
Okay.
said, we wondered why this group canceled, or this,
Oh,
all of
wow.
these things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it cost her job.
But
And I always like teaching moments as opposed to
Yeah.
fire somebody.
Right.
But
Right.
but yeah, they discovered that she had done that multiple times. And
Right.
which is too bad, because if the first person had said, eek,
Yeah.
maybe they could have gone to her and said, okay, maybe we need to renegotiate, because again,
Right.
things change. This
Right.
was long before COVID, but holy schmoly, COVID's really changed contracts and things.
Right.
But yeah, it just, and so again, it's good to have it in writing, especially because things change. COVID clearly through everything, especially events and meetings, completely and totally up in the air. And so a contract we signed 2 years ago really might be very different now.
It is different, believe me, because I do all my events and retreats. Deb, the event industry has super changed.
Right.
And of course, they're trying to make up for lost time. And I just left a organization, I won't say which one. I had done a very successful retreat there. And then the company got sold, and there was a new gal, and they were now wanting to nickel and dime me for every little thing. And I just, so many things. And I decided, you know what, this doesn't work for me. And I left. And this is also why I like cruise ships, because it's very easy to manage costs on cruise ships.
Right.
And there's not a lot of all that back and forth. And, as business owners, we really have to look at what works for us. And everything is negotiable. I said, I'm taking a negotiation class right now. Everything is negotiable, but we do want to make sure we get it right.
Right. And it is, what we're looking for is that win-win. We don't want to take advantage of them, but we also don't want to be taken advantage of. One of my favorite people in the world is Bob Berg and his Go Giver series of books.
Yeah, sure.
He's just one of the most absolute delightful people in the world. And I was talking to him one time, and I don't remember if we were just talking or if it was on the podcast. And we were talking about the fact that he says, always provide extra value.
Right.
And things like that. And I said,
under promise and over deliver.
Right. Right. Which is, that's a great concept.
Yeah.
But, I told him, I said, but what if you get taken advantage of? And he said, that is the key. He said, don't get taken advantage of. Don't give too much. Don't let them want too much, because that will happen too. You might say, maybe we design websites. So I might do maybe a short video in there because it's not going to take me really long. But then they're going to say, okay, we want another one. Oh, and we want another one. And so, at some point you do have to say, okay, that's great. Here's what the cost will be for those items. And they'll respect you for that. Because, when we take advantage of people, you really don't feel good about yourself.
I 100% agree with you, Deb. I also want to say that, and I know that Bob definitely has this belief, is that generosity is very important in business. And I don't want my clients to ever feel that they're being nickeled and dimed. I remember once I was in a program, and I like this coach very much, so I won't say her name, but my investment was huge. It was like $30,000.
Oh,
and we were having a dinner, and and I had brought in, at the time I was married, I brought my husband with me to the dinner, and they said, oh, that's $35 for your husband.
And you're like,
And of course I paid the money, but I thought, I've spent $30,000 with you, and and you'd like me to renew and keep being your client. So maybe that $35 could be you could put that in the marketing budget.
Yeah.
For and I thought it was very poor taste. And from that same organization that I spent so much money on this coaching program, which I did get value from, but we got to the hotel and we were supposed to buy our own lunch. And I thought,
really?
So my point, is that generosity looks good on your business, and generosity looks good on you.
Right.
And don't be penny wise and pound foolish, that like with the pandemic, we had to all these ladies are coming on the retreat with me. Well, one of the things we've started doing is virtual retreats, because we're not
it's safer.
Well, they signed up for Alaska. We couldn't go to Alaska. So then we moved it a year out. Then we couldn't go there. Then we moved it another year out. Then we had to move it another year out. Okay. So I've got all these ladies. So we're doing virtual retreats. So I'm sending them boxes in the mail of, different things for our virtual retreats. But I'm not saying, okay, well, you have to give me extra money.
Right.
Because it's not their fault that there's a pandemic. But I could say, well, I have to pay for this. But the point is, that you can't change after the fact either. You can't say, well, things have changed. So during this pandemic, my business has actually grown, but we've given so much extra value because that's what supports the clients.
Right.
And our renewal rate from 2020 to 2021 shot up. Why? Because rather than saying, well, hey, it's a pandemic, so
they're after you.
It's so funny, Deb, I didn't even notice because I live down the block from a fire station. So usually I don't even notice that the fire engines are rolling by. So please forgive me. Let me back up a little bit to say that the pandemic has impacted all of our business, but how have we made the best of it to serve our clients even better? And so rather than contracting as a business, what we did is we added what I call all community meetings, extra value to support them during the pandemic of, what are you doing? And are you getting your funding and just staying connected? And we've added extra virtual get-togethers, networking, sales blitzes. And it cost me a little bit, but not too much. But the point is that, yes, people agree to one thing, but if the situation changes, what else can you do to bring massive value to your clients? Because that will keep them coming back.
Right.
But
and they'll tell other people about you.
Right.
The whole word of mouth referral thing.
Yes. And that's the other thing I'll tell you. Our referrals have significantly shot up during the pandemic because a lot of people realize it's not just about education. It is about ongoing support and ongoing guidance and a community. And these are really some key ingredients that I want people to look at in their business. Are you providing community? Are you providing ongoing support and ongoing guidance and encouragement? Because we don't, even if we're not a little kid, we all need encouragement at every phase of life.
And we especially needed it when we were not out seeing other people. I'm still not in-person networking. It's just not a good health choice for me to do. And as everybody who knows me knows, I'm a really social person. So for me to not be meeting with people and because I can't just meet with them, I have to hug, I have to, all of it. And no, that's, my doctors just go at me. And so it's hard on people. And even though, I think we are more in the endemic stage than the pandemic, but all these things continue. And, and so anything that, as you said, anything we can do to make that better for people, the better it is. And the companies that embrace that and went, okay, we're going to pivot. I hate that word, right? We're getting so tired of that word, but they added all the online things and all of that. I mean, they are now more successful than they were 2 years ago.
And that's what I'm hoping for anyone that dove in and got busy and how else, and they asked, how can I better serve my clients during the pandemic? Hopefully that's been their experience. I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, I was teaching workshops on, how to do a workshop on Zoom. Now I just figure everybody knows how to do it. And by the way, that's one of the things that I told my clients to do when the pandemic started. I said, make sure you start right away doing workshops on Zoom. And many of my clients had their best year ever in 2020 because they took that advice. And today they're hopefully still doing it. I'm doing it. I think it's a very important rinse and repeat strategy to meet new people, to get new clients, and to build influence. And let me just pause here, Deb, and tell everybody the influence equation, which is visibility plus value plus consistency equals influence. And to have a regular Zoom thing every month that you always have something to invite people to when you're networking is a great way to have a vehicle that continues to support you to build influence on an ongoing basis. And sometimes it takes 2 invitations or 3 before someone shows up. Sometimes it takes them coming to 3 workshops or 5 before they become a client. But the point is that you can have this rinse and repeat strategy that can serve you on an ongoing basis. And I do want to say that, you of course, you want to invite potential clients, but you also want to invite current clients because they can rave about you. You want to invite past clients because it's an opportunity to warm them up again. And then the fourth category, which most people miss, is invite influencers. Invite people that you'd like to host you on their podcast. Invite people that you'd like to invite you to speak to their group. That this strategy I have seen it transform so many businesses. And the other fun thing is, because it's on Zoom, people are more likely to be a yes than having to jump in their car and go somewhere. And for our business, I live in California, so I used to be in San Francisco. I used to serve people mostly in the 916 through the 831, which is 3 area codes north and 3 area codes south. And I'm right by the beach, so there's nothing on the west and a little bit on the east. But now, we have clients all over the US, clients in Canada, and that's all because of Zoom,
Right.
because of hosting Zoom workshops, but also because of speaking to groups via Zoom. And I hope everyone is embracing that strategy as well.
Right. And I want to delve more into this because I think one of the things that is so hard with Zoom is, especially from the public speaker part, we feed off of the energy from the crowd. And when they're just a screen, it's really, and even worse when they turn their screens off and you're talking to all these little black boxes with just somebody's name and maybe their headshot in it. So how do you get people enthused and wanting to come back time and time again? Because it is difficult. I mean, I feel a lot of times like I'm talking to my TV screen, and they don't pay attention to me on Big Bang Theory either. So how do you turn Zoom into this?
Well, let me say that a lot of people teach the idea of write a course and offer a course. And here's what I want to be very clear on. If any of your offerings are not interactive, they're less likely that they will be completed, meaning somebody can buy your 6-module course, but if there's no engagement, they're less likely to complete it. And they're also unlikely to ever give you another dollar if they didn't complete that course.
Because they didn't see value in it.
Well, because they didn't finish it. That's on them, but that doesn't matter. They're not going to give you any more money. And so whenever I do a workshop or a course, I call them programs, I'm looking for engagement because I have to be able to not only provide education, Deb, I have to be able to make sure everyone, or I want to be able to make sure everyone on my screen feels seen, heard, valued, included, welcome, that they know that they matter. And in my case, because I teach people that have businesses, that they have massive value to bring. And I want them to leave, as I said, more uplifted than when they showed up. And if I can talk to them directly, they're more likely to do that. I just taught a workshop right before our time together. One lady, her name was Annalisa, professional woman, never had a business, now is starting a business.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
I'm able to say, Annalisa, this is for you. Sheila, this is for you in your business. I'm talking to everybody, but Sheila, let's make sure you're doing this. And so as a result, the audience feels seen and heard and gotten. And of course, the more smiles you have on the screen, the less easy it is to talk to everybody. When I have 10 people or 20 people or 30 people, I have everybody introduce themselves. Now, yeah, it takes 10 minutes, but you know what? It's going to have them be more engaged. Right. I pause every 15-ish minutes to ask if anybody has any questions. I can't, now I have my assistant usually there, but I'm not really good at reading the chat while I'm also teaching.
That's distracting.
So my assistant's there. And by the way, it's important to have techno support. And I feel like I'm a Zoom master, Deb, but still, I want to have somebody there to if something happens, if the line drops or something like that. Of course, when the pandemic started, I said to my techno guy, hey, let's make it like CNN over here. So we got everything updated to make sure that it doesn't drop. But my point is, it's not just about education. It's about beginning the relationship. It's about having everybody feel gotten and seen and welcome and included by you as the trainer. And so so that's why we build in everyone time for introduction, time for questions. By the way, at the end of everything with my clients, with workshops, the class is over. I say, okay, everybody, I'm going to hang out in case you have any questions. And you know what? Sometimes there's no questions. Right. Sometimes there's additional questions. I might be on there for extra 5-10 minutes. That's great, because the other thing is, this is a super tip. You want to make sure that your clients feel that you are accessible to them. And one of the things that a lot of speakers, trainers, coaches do, Deb, is they have celebrity cultures in their businesses. And I encourage everybody to have a community culture, right? Where it's not just me. It's all about how can I showcase my clients? How can I be accessible? This is why I tell you, they can text me, they can message me, I talk to me anytime they want. Because what? Now, I have about 90 clients right now. I would say there's one person that maybe takes a little bit advantage. But you know what? That's fine. She's been my client for 5 years.
She kind of earned it.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So most people do not take advantage. And like you said earlier, Deb, you can always make a request. But, we don't want to be like Harry Potter. I remember I went to this one conference and I felt like the speaker, he apparated. Like, the only time I ever saw him when he was on stage, never available to anybody. And this idea, oh, you want to talk to me? You write me a big check, you can talk to me. Well, if I'm already your client, yeah, I might not be your super elite client, but if I'm already your client, I think it's appropriate for you to take my question. I think it's appropriate for you to respond to my text. I think it's appropriate for you to give me a few minutes if I have a situation. And so this is what I want to encourage business owners to recognize. Under promise and over deliver, not the other way around. Because the more we do this, the more we will keep clients coming back. Right. And I do free workshops. Twice a month, I do a free workshop. Now, people say, well, Caterina, free, people don't value it. You know what? I want them to show up thinking they're not going to get nothing, and I'm going to blow them away with my massive value, and they're going to keep coming back. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for clients, Deb. I'm looking for long-term and lifelong clients. And when you keep under promising and over delivering, and you treat everybody good, and you give them a little extra time when they really need it, they are going to send you more referrals. They're going to keep coming back, and they're going to be blissing that they're investing with you. And that's what I want people to recognize, because too many businesses are like, oh, you got to charge more, and you got to do this. You got to 5 minutes with you. They got to charge extra. Forget that. Treat people good.
Right. And when you treat them good, they will treat you good. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Absolutely.
It's karma, what goes around comes around, whatever the heck we want to call it. Yeah. When you treat people well, they will treat you well in return.
Right. And as I mentioned, I want everybody to bliss in their business. And you know what the biggest bliss people will have in their business? I'll speak for myself, Deb, is when I see the clients getting massive value. I had a client on a call last week. She said to me, Caterina, I'm having my best month ever. And I said to her, isn't this about the 5th time that you're having your best month ever? Because she's been with me for a couple of years now. So she keeps getting better and better. Right. Her revenue keeps growing. And watching her bliss in her business, remembering when she started, how frustrated she was. She didn't have clients. She didn't feel like she could do this business thing. Seeing the growth, that makes me bliss in my business. And this is what I want for everybody. So, I like to say to everybody, Deb, don't just wear your heart on your sleeve, wear your heart all over your business. I love my clients. I tell my clients, I love you. And by the way, if I don't feel like I love them, then I don't let them be a client. Okay. Right. Because I'm going to be authentic in my business. But the more we bring our heart to our business, the more we genuinely care,
Mhm.
the more the meter is not running all the time, the more our clients are going to get massive value, and they're going to feel our genuine caring for them. And that's going to keep them coming back.
Right, right. And speaking of that, I want to talk about a program that you do. And I mentioned it in your when we were doing the introduction, and that's the Thriving Women in Business Giving. And I love this concept because it really is about how can we help. So tell us a little bit more about this. Oh, I've lost your mic for a minute.
Well, Deb,
there we are.
Deb, this is not a program. This is really more a project that we have, which every time we do a summit, which we do sometimes twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, depending on what's going on, we have a charity partner.
Okay.
We have had these 4 charity partners for about 10 years now, because you want to have a long-term relationship with any charities that you choose to partner with. And we raise money, we showcase and raise money for one of our charity partners. We raised money in December for Girls Up Uganda. We raised, I believe, about $13,000.
Wow, which makes such a huge difference.
Which makes huge impact. And we raised money in September, I believe it was, for Saki for Girls Education, which is in Mumbai, India. This lovely young woman who is teaching not only reading but also girls empowerment in Mumbai. She's changing lives. And everybody, before you embrace philanthropy in your business, which I want to encourage everybody to do, I want you to pick what are the causes that you really care about.
Right.
And really you want to pick one. And Deb, for you, I know that you're going through breast cancer, and maybe that's the one that you pick. Of course, I have clients in my community who their lives have been affected by suicide, and that's their focus is suicide prevention. And whatever is my marketing person, she has everything to do with dogs. Okay. So, but you pick the thing that pulls on your heart, and you use your business to impact this area. And so we've raised so much money for women and girls entrepreneurship training and education simply by showcasing them at our events, inviting ladies to make a contribution. And then I usually do something, if you give this much, we have this special thing called Big Heart Donor. If they give $300, then we showcase them in our newsletter. We showcase them here. We're always looking to do things to acknowledge and amplify the giving. And that feels so good. But also, here's what we also know. People will give money to organizations that are making social impact more when all other factors are the same. So meaning your clients and your potential clients, they like that you're embracing philanthropy.
Right.
It makes them feel good about investing with you. And, the reason why I started, we used to do it differently, Deb. We used to have all these events 4 times a year. We used to get together for afternoon tea, and then we're doing so many events. I was like, we're just going to do it with our regular events. But here's why I started. And I'm not a gray-haired lady yet, but that's only because I go to see my hairdressers every 6 weeks.
You and me both.
Okay. But here's the thing. Sometimes there's this attitude, well, I'll volunteer when I'm retired.
Right.
Or let me make my first $1 million and then I'll start to give. And what I want to be very clear about is every stage of your business, your money can make even a little bit of your money. And the way this all started, Deb, was a friend of mine invited me to her house for tea. She was turning, I can't remember if she was turning 50 or 60. And she said to me, hey, well, she pulled out a newspaper clipping. So it was some years ago. Okay. But she said, for $100, we can take a girl out of servitude and educate her for a year. And her name was Maggie, and she wrote 5 books, and all of the ladies that were at her tea, they were all authors, and some of them I had heard of before. And I was like, okay, I get to come here. I get to meet all these amazing women. And
Mm-hmm.
you tell me for $10, I can change a girl's life forever. You know, I'm in, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, by the time I got home from that tea with my friend Valerie, we started our giving circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that you don't have to wait until you're retired. You don't have to wait till you make your millions. You open your wallet a little bit today and you can have massive impact.
Right.
And that's what I want every business owner to know and embrace, and your business will be better for it.
Right. You know, and your time is also just as valuable. You know, maybe you're a mentor for a business class at your local high school. I mean, you know, there's so many things that we can be doing to give back that, you know, there's no excuse to not be doing it.
Yes. I do want to say, Deb, women more naturally give their time.
Right.
I want them to start to give more money. And I want them to start to value their earning more, so they have more surplus,
Right.
so they can give away more money.
Right.
Because this is how you really can have some significant impact. Embrace philanthropy in your business. By the way, my friend, I wrote a book on this with CJ Hayden, A Women's Guide to Starting a Giving Circle, and everybody can order it on Amazon.
I love it.
Or on my website.
Cool. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, Caterina, we've only got about 5 minutes left. I have to have you on again because we just, you know, we could chat like this forever, right? And such great information. I love it. You know, but I want people to know, you know, what services do you provide? I mean, you kind of briefly went over them, but what services, and then how do they find you?
Let me say this. I support women with service businesses, mostly who are over 50, to speak authentically, to gain insta-clients and build influence. We teach women how to sell authentically. There's no pain points, no scripts. That's ridiculous. It's all about seeing if there's a match. And then we teach women how to scale their business. And if you want to speak more, sell more, serve more, scale, I'm the right match for you. You also have to have a big heart. Otherwise, we don't let you in the door. And because we have an amazing community of women, I invite everybody to go to my website, CaterinaRando.com, CaterinaRando.com. And there they can also hook up to my podcast, which is called Expand Your Fempire. We also have a free app that you can download for your phone called Expand Your Fempire, with lots of business tools. There's my free gifts link.
Oh, I know. I've got that page open right now. So much great information.
So much great things on there. And that'll also take you to my upcoming free workshops. And depending on what time of year it is, we're either talking about speaking or selling or scaling or how to do retreats. And I'm looking for women that want to use their business for good, that want to be supported in the process, and women that recognize that a thriving business is good for them and it's good for their community, and that they can use their business to transform lives and have huge impact. Those are the ladies I'm looking for. And I'd love to hear from anyone and by the way, reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'll talk to you. Okay. Remember, I love to connect with the ladies.
I love it. I love it. And gentlemen, you need to be passing this information along to the wonderful ladies in your life. Well, I have been just having a wonderful time talking with Caterina Rando. Do you have any final thoughts you want to leave everyone with?
Sometimes in business, people think, well, I'd like to do this, but there's so many people out there already doing it. And I want to be very clear. Your voice matters. That if you are loud and proud about the value you bring, if you use the model that I'm discussing, which is give massive value, build influence before you ask people to buy, your people will find you. Of course, you're going to have to get out there to connect with them. Everybody's voice matters. Not everybody is everybody's flavor. And so this is why if you want to do something, you go do it. You don't worry about what Tom, Dick, and Harry, Mary Jane, and Sheila are doing. Doesn't matter. Your voice matters. Get in action. Get a good mentor or a coach or a women community to be a part of so that you can soar, because you don't have to do it alone. And it is very important for you to bring your voice forward.
And as you said, be in your bliss.
Yes, because then you can be in your bliss.
I love it.
Thank
I
you,
love
Deb.
it. See, I paid attention. I am Deb Creer. I've been having just so much fun talking with Caterina Rando. Can't wait to do it again. But until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.